Hey, hey, hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is. And it's time for an analysis of one of the best music industry lists to come out in 2019. You thought List Week was over. You thought I was done with lists. You thought lists for 2019 were finito. But that's not true, because Billboard before 2019 said sayonara, decided to drop this amazing list of the best rock songs of not the year, but the decade, the best rock songs of the past 10 years, or at least the top ones, because Billboard, being the institution that they are undoubtedly ranking these songs according to sales and how they charted and all that stuff. Before I get too deep into this, I do want to give a shout out to our Patreon page where you can gain access to bonus monthly content, also our Discord too, link down below. Do that, it supports everything we do, and you get some, some bonus stuff in the process. But let's get into this list. Billboard, top rock songs of the decade, here they are. Let's start at number 10. 21 Pilots, Stressed Out. And at number 9, 21 Pilots, Ride, which, kicking this list off, is not a very good sign if this is going to be a rock list. And look, not that 21 Pilots are bad, not that I hate 21 Pilots, and I liked their newest record. Their newest record was really good, but these are not rock songs. I mean, 21 Pilots, I think, do at this point in their career with these tracks have an okay and unique fusion of pop and hip hop and a little bit of reggae as well. Definitely a reflection of the current music landscape that you have groups like them that dabble in a little bit of everything, and I think that's cool. But these are not rock songs. Portugal the Man, Feel It Still. Portugal the Man, I think, undeniably is one of the few artists featured here that our rock band have been making rock music for quite a long time, so I don't so much mind their inclusion on this list. But Walk the Moon, Shut Up and Dance, not really. I mean, the track does have some loud guitar riffs in it, but it mostly sounds like what you would get if you took the shiny, slick sounds of U2 and tried to make them work in a dance club or something. The Lumineers, Ho Hey, that is not a rock song, nor are the Lumineers even a rock band. They make indie folk music. They make folk pop music. Not to skip the other inclusion of 21 Pilots there with song Heathens, but again, that is not one of their more rock-oriented songs. Panic at the Disco, High Hopes. That's just pretty much a pop tune. That is not a rock song. Panic at the Disco, sure, they have come out with rock music in the past. I think Panic at the Disco, despite their aesthetic changes over the years, are still predominantly seen as a rock band, but they don't really make rock music these days, in my opinion. Imagine Dragons, though, make up the top 3 with Radioactive, Thunder, which to me is maybe the poppiest of the 3, and then Believer, which has that cute little sad acoustic guitar lick in it. This is disheartening, man. This is dismal. Not only because a vast majority of these I wouldn't even really categorize as rock songs. Sure, some of these bands make loud, dramatic music, but that does not alone make a rock song, in my opinion. I mean, if Thunder is a rock song, what makes, I don't know, Taylor Swift's Calm Down not a rock song? Because it's not like those tracks don't share similar production aesthetics. They do. I mean, I can't imagine a rock list looking like this if we dialed it back to the 2000s, because undoubtedly, while groups like Creed or groups like Nickelback would end up on this list, they're inarguably true blue rock bands, as much as you may dislike their music. Whereas Imagine Dragons, 21 Pilots, the Panic at the Disco High Hopes song on this thing, I feel like these are only rock songs if I kind of tilt my head and squint at them so hard. I mean, Imagine Dragons, undoubtedly a pop rock band in many respects, but they're so much further on the pop side of that spectrum. And things don't look all that much better when you go even further down the rock songs chart, as a lot of the tracks that didn't make the top 10 aren't really all that rock-oriented either. Maybe the most rock-oriented groups that end up in the top 50, in my opinion, are, let's say, Foo Fighters, also Paramore, and Black Keys. Some of the categorizations get even more ridiculous when you go into the top rock albums of the decade, as we have in the top 10 Mumford & Sons, a compilation of old rock songs, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix Volume 1. We have Pure Heroine from Lorde, which is not really a rock album at all, in my opinion. I don't even know if she would categorize it as a rock album. And then Mumford & Sons at 11, and Born to Die from Lana Del Rey at 12. Again, an artist that I don't think would categorize their music as rock music. And not that Lana's music has never had kind of a rock vibe to it or a guitar in it here and there, but Born to Die is maybe her least rock record. If anything, that album is celebrated, if it's celebrated at all, for the way that it fuses vintage vocal pop with hip-hop aesthetics. There's not like any huge rock drums or rock riffs played throughout that record. So at the end of the day, I feel like I have to interpret this as two different things. One, Billboard kind of made a big dumb oopsie here with some of these categorizations that make no sense whatsoever. But simultaneously, I feel like this also says something about the state of rock music, that the bands, the artists that end up so high on a chart like this are only rock music if you tilt your head and kind of squint, or are rock music being fused with other things, which I think is a trend that is going on with other popular genres as well. Everything is slowly being pooled into this one bland uni-genre. But the fact that you have a list like the hottest rock songs of the decade on Billboard, topped by Imagine Dragons 3 times, and when you scroll down, you see Lil Wayne with Wiz Khalifa and Imagine Dragons, also a Bush song on here, Bush, a band that I wouldn't even categorize as being in the top 50 of the best 90s bands, somehow turning up here with a top 50 song of this decade. Also, Disturbed, The Sound of Silence. No, thank you. Interpret it how you like. The waning relevance or the artistic desolation that is mainstream current day rock music. I don't really know what causes a list like this. Personally, there's been no shortage of rock music that I've enjoyed and reviewed well and talked about positively throughout the decade, but none of those records are doing as well as what's over here. And once more, it's not like you can't invent new ways to make rock music or maintain some kind of rock spirit in what it is you do. For example, Rico Nasty, Trust Issues. As well as Kids See Ghosts, Free. Those are songs made by artists that are predominantly seen as hip-hop artists, and yet they're kind of more rock than almost anything on this top 10 list. So I'm going to leave it at that. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this list. Does it disgust you? Does it disappoint you? Does it sicken you? Or are we just merely at a point where this is the current state and sound of rock music, and maybe some of us are kind of old heads and we're yet to really accept what this new wave is offering? I don't know. Anthony Fantano, top rock songs of the decade, Billboard, forever.